We saw the fuel prices going up yesterday drastically, and the explanation that was given by government is not accurate, because blaming the global oil prices is falling short of what the reality is. Because last year, for the last 1 year, the highest fuel prices we have seen were actually in June 17th of 2024. And in this calendar year, the highest prices we have seen were actually in January. But having said that, it is important for us to know that out of what Kenyans pay at the pump in terms of fuel prices, around half of that money is in terms of taxes.
Welcome to AfriFreedomChannel, your home for sharp, independent takes on African politics and civic accountability. If thoughtful analysis matters to you, hit like, share, and subscribe so you never miss updates that affect your pocket and your vote. Disclaimer. The following commentary is based on publicly available reports, parliamentary records, reputable news outlets, and verified statements as of July 15, 2025. It is presented for informational and educational purposes under fair use provisions. Viewers are encouraged to cross-check sources and draw their own conclusions. AfriFreedomChannel does not endorse any political party or candidate. President William Ruto and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga's recent pact has redrawn Kenya's political chessboard.
Him and Raila is a hare and the fox. The two of them. What an wajaja. Raila is cheating him. I'll support you in 2027. Naye Ruto anamwambia nitakupitia NADCO report. He does not intend to do it. Ruto does not intend to pass the NADCO report because inaleta viti ya prime minister, deputy nini, na Raila atachukua hiyo kupanga serikali yake. Raila also does not intend to support him in 2027. So is the hare and the fox. Wanajifichiana tu namna hiyo kudanganya mwingine na mwingine na mwingine. So Traore adwasiere turutanaria moiwa na mahi amahira. In fact, I would like Raila to stick with Ruto so that we deal with the problem of the two together once and for all. Yeah. So good people, muendelee kutuombea na muendelee kutushikilia.
Supporters who once saw Raila as an opposition bulwark now worry the two leaders will protect each other from scrutiny. That fear is summed up in the viral quote, "We want Raila to stick with Ruto so we can deal with them at the same time," echoing growing street sentiment that voters may punish both figures in 2027. What does this alliance mean for meaningful checks and balances when the opposition's chief critic now shakes hands with the incumbent? Do you believe this partnership will deliver unity or silence dissent? Share your take below. While Kenyans grapple with rising living costs, MP Ndindi Nyoro has blown the whistle on a quiet KSh175B per litre fuel levy slipped in as global oil prices fell.
We saw the fuel prices going up yesterday drastically, and the explanation that was given by government is not accurate, because blaming the global oil prices is falling short of what the reality is. Because last year, for the last 1 year, the highest fuel prices we have seen were actually in June 17th of 2024. And in this calendar year, the highest prices we have seen were actually in January. But having said that, it is important for us to know that out of what Kenyans pay at the pump in terms of fuel prices, around half of that money is in terms of taxes and levies. Over 80 shillings of what people pay for petrol prices, over 80 shillings goes into taxes and levies. And of what Kenyans pay for other products or fuel other than petrol, over 76 shillings again goes into taxes and levies. In an oil producing country like Kenya, the only tool a government is left with is altering the levies and taxes. This is where the problem is, The government of Kenya actually added a new levy last year of 7 shillings in the fuel prices. And how the government works is that time when the fuel prices are coming down, actually that's the reason why Kenyans never felt the global deceleration of the oil prices, because it's around that time that the government introduced a secret 7 shillings in fuel levy. That is partly one of the problems why the fuel prices are going up. But the more unfortunate bit is that this year the government has taken that 7 shillings, taken to the banks as security, and then they have taken a loan of 175 billion shillings. This money is not reflecting in the government books as a debt, and therefore it can only pass as an illegal debt, because whatever is not accounted for as a debt, then any other debt is illegal. There has been a lot of secrecy around securitization, because these questions we have asked them even in parliament, even the people in the treasury don't seem to know. Some of the questions we are asking: how much money is the government actually borrowing? Because even the 175 is from different sources other than the official source. Secondly, what is the interest rate? Third, after 7 years, which is the period at which they are borrowing, how much will the government have paid to these banks? Fourth, is this money sovereign guaranteed? Because it seems to be nowhere in the government books. It actually also never came to parliament for any ratification. The problem of this is that we now have the government spending money in advance. They have already collected money in advance for the next 7 years. So if Kenyans demand lower fuel prices, and you've already taken loans using the levies and taxes, how are you going to alter the pump fuel prices? Because the only tool you have is taxes and levies, and it is the one that you've already securitized. And this securitization term is another dogma that is being brought around to confuse Kenyans. It is important for the government to be prudent. It is not fair, because we want to be clapped for today. We add fuel prices, we actually go to the banks and take loans using the same levy, which in a bad day is what Kenyans will demand it gets lowered for the fuel prices at the pump to actually be managed. The other thing I want to highlight is that beyond the people in the National Treasury who are clearly engaging in an illegality of borrowing money and hiding that borrowing, even the banks that are lending money using the securitization issue, they need to answer questions to their shareholders. This money you are lending, how is it secured? If the fuel levy in terms of what Kenyans pay is only created through a gazette notice by a memorandum from the cabinet secretary, what if another cabinet secretary gives the one that lowers the levies, which the banks are already holding as security for the loans? And lastly, in the affairs of financial management, you must never favor any of your creditors, because what basically you are doing is to open a floodgate. If you securitize fuel levy, like the one they are doing, the 7 shillings, they're in the process of doing another 5. Then what if now a Chinese lender comes and they want to securitize our VAT, and another one comes, a lender, they want to securitize our payee? What will be left for the government to do, the governments that are in power or that come to power? It is important for Kenyans to know that the explanation that was given in terms of fuel prices is actually not true. The truth is introduction of new levies, but more importantly, the illegal borrowings that are happening around fuel levy. The questions I'm asking, or the voice I am airing, it is just for the love of the country. Because if we do the same on all the other funds, the government is doing the same in terms of sports fund, we do the same in terms of fuel levy, then where is the flexibility for the governments to make decisions on how to expend their money when the government that is currently there is already spending money in advance? What if the other government that was there did the same, securitized the money in terms of all the taxes? Then what will be the role of the government now? Which decisions would they be making when the money is actually not available? Uhoro wa maguta uria turona bei niriongereire muthenya wa ira nirambata na gicunje kinene muno. Uma ni ati ti thogora wa maguta thiini wa thi uratumire maguta meyongerere. Ni tondu ngirora bei cia maguta hari mwaka umwe muthiru riria thi yonire bei ya iguru muno ya maguta ni July 17th 2024. Ungirora bei ya maguta iria itagwo crude, no ngirora mwaka uyu bei ya maguta yari iguru muno mweri wa January. Thina munene muno Kenya wigie bei ya maguta ni ati magoti ni maingi, ni tondu hari lita imwe ya feturu makiria ma ciringi 80 ithiaga magoti na maruta mangi metagwo levies. Nacio other products ta dithuru na indo iria ingi ugakora makiria ma ciringi 76 turuma mugwanja nacio irathie maundu-ini ma magoti na maundu maria mangi makonainie na thirikari kurogota mbeca. Na koguo hau niho thina munene uri, na thirikari ingienda ku reduce maguta kiria ikaga ni tondu bururi wothe utara produce maguta, the only thing utigagwo no nginya wike niguo ifacirire bei ya maguta ni maundu meri. Itho heane subsidy, thirikari ikahuthira mbeca kugoithia bei ya maguta, kana namba igiri thirikari yo yenyewe ikeheheria magoti mamwe ma maguta. Ni tondu maguta mangithia goro muno mahotomagia maundu mothe thiini wa economy na economy kanjia go slow down. Waongerera bei ya maguta wahotomia ukui no kinyaniria, wahotomia iganda, wahotomia indo ciothe iria itumaga economy ithie na mbere. Na undu uria wa kumakania muno ni ati na nika undu ngoretwo ngieria na ningwenda gugacokera, bururi wa Kenya ni uraingira hatikaini nene muno ni tondu riu magoti maria twoyaga na njira ya maguta thirikari iramoya ikoya maruni bengi iyo iri security. Na riria veka uhoro ta ucio ati igoti riria andu marariha maguta-ini ihinda riri rikoyo ngombo cia miaka 7 iguka na mbere. Riu ni kuonania riria thirikari one ngiuka ifatare guthathaura uhoro wa bei ya maguta na njira ya kunyihia magoti, igakora magoti maya already moirwo in advance. Tondu riria wathie bengi wera andu ama bengi magukombithia mbeca nio marirogotaga biu Levy. Riu ni kuonania gutire hindi thirikari igakorwo na flexibility ya kugoithia bei ya maguta kuhetukira magoti-ini. No horo ucio niguo ngoretwo ngiuga ni horo irigo, tondu turakomba mbeca cia bururi no mbeca ici twakomba ngombo itirekirwo thiini ma mabuku ma thirikari cire ngombo iratuika ni kindu gia githungu kiretwo securitization. Na ningwenda gutariria andu aria othe mari thiini wa thirikari, National Treasury na Ministry ya barabara, andu aria othe maranyitarira no horo ucio wa securitization, ino ni scandal murathondeka na ni rio kana mundu ni aricokia ciuria ari wiki. Nao arugamireria mabengi CEOs aria marakombithia mbeca na njira irigo ni magirwo ni kuria ciuria ni cia holders a bengi icio, kana ngombo ino ni kindu gitagwo sovereign guarantee, kana ni irekirwo mabuku-ini ma thirikari, kana ni thiete bunge yahitukirio no ni mbeca cigana, ni ya interest ya mbeca cigana na igacokio mbeca cigana. Tondu horo uyu kuretwo gikwo githiri riu bururi wa Kenya urakuithio mirigo ya miaka 7 eroka, igoti riu rio thaa ici rute wira thaa ici kana rikingire mihuko ya andu, no andu a Kenya maguthie na mbere na kurihira maguta-ini miaka 7 iguka. Uhoro wa securitization yo gucokera thirikari ni menye ino ni scandal marathondeka na ni uhoro tagiriire na ni gukuithia Kenya na
Nyoro alleges Treasury then securitized that levy to borrow roughly 175 billion Kenyan shillings from banks without parliamentary approval, making the debt off book and arguably unconstitutional. If accurate, every liter you buy is collateral for a loan you never sanctioned. How does it feel knowing your daily commute may be underwriting secret debt? Tell us if you felt the pinch at the pump. The bigger question is accountability. Kenya's 2010 constitution demands transparent, parliamentary-approved borrowing. Off-balance sheet loans can shove liability onto taxpayers for decades, crowding out funds for health, education, and youth jobs. If leaders you elected choose opaque financing, should Kenyans organize stronger civil oversight, perhaps through citizen budget hearings or strategic litigation? What form of action would you personally support? Politically, the Raila-Ruto rapprochement may cushion the administration from mass protests seen in 2024. Yet opinion polls show Gen Z frustration boiling over on social media. A united ruling bloc could inadvertently spark a new, youthful opposition untethered to old party loyalties. Could 2025 be the year Kenyan youth build a fresh political vehicle, one neither Raila nor Ruto can co-opt? Drop a comment if you'd back a Gen Z-led movement. Finally, Kenya's debt-to-GDP ratio already hovers near 70%. Add an unrecorded 175 billion Kenyan shillings, and fiscal space shrinks further. Investors watch credit ratings, citizens feel rising VAT and PAYE. At what point does hidden debt become a democratic crisis, and who should answer first, cabinet, parliament, or voters at the ballot box? Let's debate below. Kenya stands at a crossroads: forge transparent governance or drift deeper into opaque power pacts and silent debts. Whether alliances serve citizens or leaders depends on public vigilance, and your voice counts. Keep the conversation alive in the comments, share this video with friends who care, and stay tuned. AfriFreedomChannel will be here, spotlight blazing, to hold every leader to account. Stay inspired, stay courageous. Africa's future is ours to write.